Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at day 3 of 100 days of UI with Veera, and this is a really special day because today we are going to do a lot of really exciting things. So let's get started. Let's wait for a couple of people and we can get started. Hello everyone and welcome back. This is day 3 of 100 days of UI design with Veera, and today we are going to look at a really exciting UI design of a bird with special text effects. I am really excited to share this one with you, and let's take a look without further ado. Okay, so let's just jump into the main UI design that we're going to be taking a look at today. This is the UI design that we'll be making today. It is really simple, really fun to make, and it has a lot of different effects that I'm really proud of. For example, the birds have their own alphabets which sort of fly in as they're animating, which is a really nice effect if you want to have it inside of any production based UI design. And the background also has a really cool, really nice gradient of light colors and dark colors all blending in one, creating a really nice animation for day 3 of this UI design challenge. So let's say hello to everyone in the chat and we can start. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do while making this design is obviously have Figma installed. If you don't yet have Figma installed, you can go to figma.com/downloads and install the desktop installer for whichever device you're on. If you already have Figma, we're going to get right into it. Alright, so the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up a new file, a simple new design file. And once you've opened the design file, once it has started loading, we're going to simply make a frame. Just go to the frame and create a single frame. You can also create a frame if you click on F. Both of those are completely valid options. And since the design that we're making today is going to have a vertical UI, which means it's wider than it is long, you basically want to have 1920 by 1080 width and height for the full resolution of a desktop screen. So we're going to make a frame and add in 1920 by 1080 width and height. This is the basic minimum height for all desktop monitors, for all UI designs that are desktop based. Alright, now that we have a simple frame, I want you to install or download the different images for this design, which are in the description. So inside of the description, the first link you'll see is of a folder which you can access. It's a Google Drive folder with the different images that we're going to be using for this one, and also a text file which has all of the different text descriptions for the different frames of UI design today, because we want to just copy and paste the hard description text data just so we don't have to type it out. Alright, so once you've installed or downloaded the files that are in the description and taken out all of the different images that we have in there, you will just import those images inside of Figma. So the way we're going to do that is Control-Shift-K. This is the shortcut for importing images in Figma. And I'm going to take all of the 4 images that were in the folder below, and I'm going to simply open them. Click on Place All. It just places every image beautifully. This does take a while sometimes. If this does not work, you usually want to go down to the Shapes tab and get your place image icon from there. Take all of your images and open them. Just click on place all, and that places every image that we have. So we're going to just take these images apart one by one, just for some clarity. So this is the parrot image, this is the macaw, and this is the cockatoo image. And also we have a logo for today's design, but this is plain white, so we won't get into positioning it yet because the background is also white as of now. We will get into it later once our backgrounds have more color in them. So the very first image that I want to start with is this macaw image today. I'm just going to take it and place it inside of our first frame. We don't need to worry about any of these other images for now, and we'll just reposition it to be in a separate place. Zoom in, and we can get started with the colors for this page. So the colors for this had a specific gradient going down from top left to bottom right, and we're going to replicate that. The colors that we're using for this one are blue and different shades of teal. So you're going to go down to your fill and get your gradients, rotate the angle of the fill, and try to get colors from the image itself, because as long as you have colors that are at least somewhere around the image, you're going to end up with a result that you really like. So we'll just try to find any colors that look good, and for now I'm just going to put in a color I know that works. 0085 FF. This is a really nice shade of blue that works really well with the inner feathers of this bird. And also in the real beginning we are going to have a light shade of blue green from somewhere around here. In fact, let's just make it lighter. And also we want to keep on adding different shades to this gradient, just so that we can have a lot of different colors going on. Alright, so we are back. We're just going to start adding different shades of colors that we know are going to work here. So I'm just going to get colors from between here and try to find the best, brightest possible match. 22F. 2FF is a really nice hex code if you want to get somewhere in the middle. And then we'll also add a few more colors over here. 19D6FF, 19D7FF are both good shades, perfectly nice. And finally we'll have a fifth shade. So this gradient is quite special because we're using 5 different colors at once in this same gradient, which is a really nice thing to have sometimes. And with that, our design is complete in terms of its background. Now we'll start to adjust the background just a little bit more before we start getting into the text. Just try to shift things around and see what works best. Sometimes it's just better to leave things as they are, and sometimes you can go ahead and adjust things as you want them to be. Alright, so now that we have the background and the base ready, we're going to start with the really cool text effect that we saw in the beginning. So the font family that I'm going to be using for this effect is Outfit. Outfit is a really nice font. It is bold and it is right there in your face, so you want to use it more and more times. And also it works well both if you're using it as an outline or if you're using it as a complete font. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a moment. So the bird that we were having in the first image was a macaw, and also you will find in the folder that we had from the downloads down below, which I'm opening up in just a bit, it had a file called text data. This file has all of the different text details that you might want for this design. So you can just copy and paste the macaw that we have for this one, and now we have the complete name. You can also type it out. It's just really simple, MACAW. And now we're going to increase the font size. I'm going to just make it double because we want this to be as large as possible. 256 is a really nice size for fonts. And we are going to use Outfit. Ever since I started using Outfit, it has turned out to be a really nice font, much better than Montserrat or Poppins, because they are nice on paper, but when you start looking at specific font kernings, they're just really not that well balanced. I like Outfit. It's probably my favorite font. And now that we have that figured out, we'll start adding different colors to this. So we'll add a white fill for our text, and now the part becomes quite interesting and quite complicated, because this is where we'll start getting into the details of how the font effect was made. Bharat writes, hi, background explanation is not visible, your explanation video visible in the center. Oh, all right, that's not an issue. We can just start over. Oops, it's fine, we'll take care of this. We're just trying out a new layout today, and it all right. So we'll just fix this and we can start again, no issues. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the day 3 of 100 days of UI design challenge, and today we are going to make an extremely pretty, extremely interesting UI that I'm really excited to share with you. This is really cute, and it turns out it has one of the most spectacular text effects I've ever seen, I've ever made, and I am really excited to share this with you. So let's get started. All right. So this is one of my favorite ever, because this has not only a really cool text effect, which I'm quite proud of, it also has these flying birds which are literally flying. This is as close as flying gets in UI design, and they've just turned out to be really, really pretty. All right, if you look at these different birds, you'll find that there is so much variety in the different colors here, because we're also using gradients. So the shades of pages are going from top to bottom, and the text also looks really, really cool. All right, so with that said, let's just not make a lot of delays and get into how we're making this UI design. Alright, no worries Bharat, we can start again if something goes wrong. That's always an advantage while going live. Anyways, so now we'll just take a look at how we're making this design, because I am really excited for this one. Check out the background shades on this. I mean, look at this color. It's going from lime green and it's going to a really, really dark green. This is the first palette. In the other slides as well, it is going from a really nice light sky blue to the darkest sea blue you have ever seen. And in the cockatoo, this is a really, really complex one to make, but it goes from yellow to orange. A really, really nice gradient if you want to go from top to bottom. And also this UI is super cute, super pretty. You can just take the half of this page and use it in a separate UI design. You can take the other half and use it in the other part of the UI design. But without further ado, we will get started. The first thing you need to do is install Figma. If you haven't installed Figma yet, please install Figma from figma.com/downloads so you can follow along to this. And we'll just open up Figma and go to the new design file. This is the really simple first step that you need to do while getting started. And after this, we'll just simply create a frame. Click on F to create a frame, and when you're making a monitor display like the one we're using for this one, you want to have a frame that is wider than it is tall. So you just want a really, really wide frame. The way you make a really wide frame is 1920 by 1080 width and height. This is the standard width and height for every single frame that you're making for desktop UI designs. You can make smaller frames. For example, Figma does allow smaller frames for iPads and stuff, but it just does not have that kind of resolution. When you export it as an image, it gives us a lot of trouble. So you're just going to resize it to 1920 by 1080 width and height. The simplest thing to do. And once this is done, we will start adding our images. Our images are inside of the description. So inside the description, you'll find a link to a Google Docs folder, which is open for everyone to access. You can download all of the different files we have. There are 4 images in that Google Docs folder, and there is also a text file. So the text file has every single piece of text information that you'll need to copy and paste in throughout this design. And I'm going to need you to download all of the contents of that folder. It just has 5 files, the simplest thing to do. And once you've done that, you'll just go to Control-Shift-K in Figma. Control-Shift-K is how you get images out of your file explorer and put them inside of your Figma file. We'll just click on Place All. This places all our images beautifully inside our files, and we'll just take all of these images out from inside the frame, put them outside. And we have a 4th image that is of the logo, which is actually white, so it's quite difficult to see right now. But as our page backgrounds start to become darker and darker, this will start looking prettier and prettier. So without worrying about that, I'm just going to take my first Macau image, place it inside the frame, the simplest thing to do. And also I'm going to have the whole frame repositioned to be in the center of the screen, just so it's easier for everyone to see. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to give this a beautiful background gradient like the ones we saw. We'll just take the frame, go to the fill tab, change the fill from color to gradient. So the gradient is how you get the nice shade of different colors going on. It's how UIs become smooth, and we'll just place it inside. So you usually want to go from a light shade to a dark shade. In the beginning, we saw how the shade up top was really light, and the blue was just the darkest shade of blue you've ever seen. So we'll just stick to that and change the different colors that we have here. So usually you want a gradient that has not more than 5 to 6 different colors inside of this, because what you're doing with gradients is you're morphing from one color to the next. So for example, if you have red and you have another color yellow, you're trying to morph them to have a middle shade of red, orange and yellow. So you just don't want to have more than 5 colors over here. But in this UI, I'm going to demonstrate how you easily put 5 shades inside of a single gradient, make it work really nicely. This wouldn't work if you had quite opposite colors like purple, blue, yellow, pink. It would not work, and I'll demonstrate that in just a minute. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my light blue. This is just a really simple shade of light blue that I tend to use all the time, 9EF 9FF. And in the end, we'll just put the darkest shade of blue that looks nice over here, 00B 5FF. This is a really nice shade of blue, and right now it looks quite light, but when you take it out of this gradient, it is quite a dark shade. You could just go with these 2 colors if you want to keep it simple. That would be a good option, but I promise to demonstrate 5 different colors in a single gradient, so I'm going to do just that. I'm going to take a color up top, and I'm going to take another one in the center, and I'm going to get another color simply by clicking on it down at the bottom. So now I've divided it into roughly 5 equal parts, and now I can easily put 5 different colors wherever I want them to. So I'll just shift this color around just a little bit more to see what I can do with it. So I'll just put a really nice light shade that we would all like to see. This is a teal, light, blue-green kind of shade of blue, but it works really well in this gradient, so we're using it. We'll continue to do the same for all of our other fills as well. 19D 6FF is our next fill shade, and our next fill shade is 108. These are all hexadecimal numbers for colors, of course, and that gives it a really nice fill. So now that we have this figured out, we are going to start looking at what would happen if this gradient fill was in a different, very random shade. So all of the colors that we're using for this gradient today are blue, but if they weren't blue, if you were using quite polarizing colors like purple and blue and yellow, it would turn out quite wonky, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So for example, if we had purple over here and then just directly yellow over here, and then maybe green and then just red, something you just don't see coming, and then blue, this would become really difficult to see, really clashy, the worst possible way to have gradient color fills inside of your UI. The reason being, whenever you put two colors in a gradient, the gradient tries to find the middlemost color and puts it inside of the main screen. So it has the other colors that you chose, and it also has the color that comes right in the middle. Sometimes when you have colors like green and red where there isn't anything beautiful coming out in the middle, then you just end up looking like a really weird UI design. So the point is, don't put random colors inside of a gradient. Always put colors that go from light to dark, dark to light, or have some relation, some common shades of colors between them. That is the only way gradients with 5 colors work. And now we are going to start putting in text that we have. So the file that you extracted from down in the description in the Google Drive folder was having 4 different images and a single text file. So this text file has all of the different data that you're going to need as text inside of our UI design. So I'm going to copy the name of the bird in the very first step, paste it, and this image text effect that we're making for this bird, this one right here, is actually quite complicated to implement. So you want to take a moment to breathe here, and you want to take a moment to just look at how this works and then try to copy it in your own design. Just take it. The font that we're going to be using for this one is Outfit. It is a really beautiful font, much better than Montserrat and Poppins. I mean, I used to like Montserrat and Poppins once upon a time, but now Outfit is my favorite font. It looks really pretty, really nice, and I'm always using it all the time. We'll just change the font size to be 256 because it's big and we want big fonts. I'll change the thickness to be extra bold, or at least bold. Extra bold works better, in fact. And because we are going to be positioning this on a blue UI in a blue background, white looks better on blue than black. So white just looks slightly better. If you were to place both blue and black on this same, if you were to place both white and black on this same UI, white would always end up looking better. So in this case, you see how white does look better. I would always go with white. So I'm just going to remove black from the font color, and I'm going to change the fill color to white. Now what I want to do is play around with this text so we have a really solid effect like this one to take towards the image. So we're going to construct it separately from the image, hopefully, so we have a beautiful UI design. Just so that this white is visible over our pretty gray background, I'm going to change our color to blue, similar to the one that we had in our UI, and I'm going to start to take apart all the alphabets. So I'm going to take M, put it apart, take A, take it apart, place it, take C, take it apart, copy it, paste it, take A again, copy it and paste it, and I'm going to take W, copy it, paste it once again, and now we have separate single fonts. The thing this allows me to do is place them wherever I like. So before, when we had it in a single text change, we could either place them vertically or horizontally. We couldn't play around with them, place it in random positions, do random things with it. So taking apart the single alphabets of the fonts allows me to have a lot more control over where each font goes. Alright, now that we have taken apart all of our fonts, I'm just going to take this solid white filled M, place it up top because it looks good. Take this A, and now this is where things start to get special. I'm going to remove the fill that this has and put on a stroke and increase the thickness of the stroke. Look at this really carefully if you want to duplicate it, because this is having a little bit of tricks. So we'll just change the color of the stroke to be white. This looks good. You'll place it outside always, because if you try to place strokes inside of texts, you get triangles and joints in places you don't want triangles and joints. We'll just put it in the center. put it outside. Give it a thickness of 6. This looks good. Place it up top. We are happy with this. Take C, just place it like that. Take A, also place it like that, because the last A was also having a stroke. And now finally with W, I'm going to remove the fill, put in a stroke, and I'm going to explain why I'm doing this in just a bit. Put the stroke to a thickness of 6 and change the font color to white again. And now we're going to take all of these and try to place it inside of our image, just like this. But since it's quite difficult to start positioning texts right and left, one thing you might want to do is you want to export all of these fonts as images and then try to import that, because when you are importing texts as images, it allows you to crop an image, fill an image, stretch an image, things that you wouldn't usually be allowed with fonts. So you want to convert your fonts, now that we are happy with them, into images. Alright, so I'm going to select all of these fonts and make sure I'm selecting all of these, just not anything extra. We just want these 5 fonts, nothing special. Export them as PNGs. PNGs are really nice graphics if you want them to be, but also if you want them to be infinitely scalable, you want, or more transparent, you want to shift your font type to vector. So if I were to export it in PNG, it would be quite pixelated if I tried to enlarge it. But if I export it in SVG, since SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, it's stored in a vector format where you can infinitely stretch it, scroll it, make it big, make it small. It does not care about what resolution you're positioning your image as. And since we're going to do a lot of tricks with the text today, I need to export it as SVG. I'll save it. And now we are going to finally get inside of our UI frame. So now that we are done with everything that we needed to do outside, we'll just get to the page, change its color to be gray, white, F5, the one we had previously. And if you like what we're doing here, make sure to click on the like button, subscribe. I give you one of these UI design tutorials every single day for 97 other days, because we are on a 100-day UI design challenge, and this is the third day. You can also check out the past streams in the UI design playlist, which is linked in the description and also found on the channel. Alright, and now that we have done that, we'll start adding our alphabets. So we exported our alphabets to images, and now that we have images of our alphabets in SVG format, we are going to take them, try to do different tricks with them. So I'll take out all of my images, and if you're having multiple images that you want to take out of your file explorer at once, you're going to click on shift, and then when you try to get multiple images, it will select those images separately for you. So when you click on control, sorry, not shift, click on control, and then it will select your different images for you. And now we'll just get our images, place them inside of our frame. So it's really important that you place all of these images inside of our frame, not outside of the frame. And if you place it outside of the frame, it will be really difficult to sort of position them around this. You want to always have all of your images inside of your frame. Never forget that. And once we are done with that, we need to take care of another very important issue. It is of the fact that these images are getting cut off. So if you see this A and if you see this W, they are getting cropped and they are getting cut off. The way we're going to fix that is we're going to take it, remove the clip content checkbox from here, because clip content is basically a fancy way of saying we are going to crop your content if it goes beyond the scale of the box. So example, if I have this big of a box and if my content is this big, it's going to crop everything that is outside of the box. It's just going to keep things that are inside of the box for you. If you deselect clip content, it just gives you the text everything that you've placed inside of your frame without worrying about what is inside of the frame and its size. So we're going to take all of these, place it, and now that we have all of our images, we're just going to try to put them in different positions that works. So we'll take our first alphabet, place it over here, and this is where the magic actually starts happening. So the way this text effect works is that it takes the position of where you're placing your fonts, and it takes the position of this parrot image, macaw image, and it tries to work with that to make things look really, really good. So I'm just going to take this and put it here. Now, since this M is in front of our parrot's wing, we're just going to send it to the back, and we're just going to keep this A in front of the parrot. Make sure this is the parrot or the macaw, and we're going to make sure this A1, this is called A1, is in front of our parrot, so that the image behind of this is also visible. So the reason we kept this into a transparent fill and stroke is because we wanted our parrot's wing to be visible, and now that it is, we can easily just place it wherever we want to place it. And now that we have that positioned out, we'll place our C. Again, this is a solid fill font, so we'll just place it behind the parrot. This looks really good. And again, we're going to take our alphabet. So since this is a solid alphabet, you want to place it behind everything. If it was a stroke filled alphabet, transparent one, you would just place it in front of the whole thing. And now that we have these things worked out, all of our fonts and our parrot image, we are going to take it, place it all in a single frame, and reposition it up top, because right now it's just too much and it's getting cut off. So we'll just group it and place it up top. We'll just shift it upward. Really simply placing it, and like that, our text image is complete. So we have achieved the most difficult part of this whole thing, which is getting this text effect right. And once you've done it a couple of times, it just becomes a really simple thing. But before you've done it, it is a little bit of a thing to get done. Also, if you want to get a step above with it, just go one step above, push the limits of what you're doing currently. You can always go to the bottom left corner and rotate your C's. This makes them look really fancy. This is a trick of graphic design, in fact. And whenever you put tilted C's, tilted alphabets inside of any UI design, it looks pretty cool. It always looks pretty cool. All right, and now that we have this worked out, we'll start with our text. So we had a file inside of our previous folder, which is down in the description. You can download it. We had a file there, and we would start by opening it, getting our text data from there. So this is our title, and this is our description, and this is our button text. So we'll copy all three and paste them outside. We just paste it, and like that, really simply, we have figured out this UI. Alright, and now that we have all of the text that we're going to be using for this one, we are going to reposition it, change its fonts, and make it look pretty. I'm going to copy the title and change its font family. It's always nice to change your font families once in a while, because if you keep on using the same font family, the UIs themselves become boring. But you don't want to use a lot of font families, so you don't want to go over 3 as a general rule of thumb. You don't want to have 4, 5, 10 different fonts in one single design, because that makes the UI just really hard to look at and just random all over the place. So we'll take our title and try to change into the different fonts that we have. I like Paytone 1. It's quite similar to Outfit. It works really well with Outfit, but it is also a little fancy. It's also a little childlike. We're going to go ahead with that and change its color to be white again, because we're placing it on a blue background, and place it inside of our frame. We'll just make it smaller. Maybe to 112. Place it inside. Maybe make it a little bit smaller, 100. Add an effect of a drop shadow. We'll place the x-axis value to be 2 and the y-axis value to also be 2. Put the blur to be 0 and change the color to be black, 25%. This is also what defaults to the text effect color in Figma, so you can just keep on what you have, or you can change it if it's not present to black, 25% opacity. Alright, now that we've placed it inside of our frame and we've placed it beautifully, we will start highlighting the name of the bird. So we'll just change it to be black. This looks really pretty. We want to highlight something. So when you're working with a blue background, you don't always want everything to be black. If you're having a lot of text, you usually want it to be white. But if you have a little bit of text, something to highlight, black is always an available choice. Alright, now that we have placed this inside of our frame, we'll go back again to our text that we had available. Copy everything. And place it inside of our frame. We'll make the font size smaller. So you usually want to adjust your width and height, so you'll just keep it to a fixed size. Whenever you want to adjust the width and height of a text frame, always change it to fixed size. Other options available here are of auto width and auto height. These basically let your text take up the maximum width and height possible respectively, but you don't usually want to go ahead with these because often they're not tangible solutions for actual UI designs, because you can't have text that is ideally going so long that it goes out of the frame. You don't want that. So you just always have to go with fixed height in most, fixed size in most UI designs. We'll just place it inside. Change our opacity, change our color and change the thickness. And keep it regular. Change the font color to be white. Give it an extra effect. So if you have a shade of white over a really light color, you want to usually have a drop shadow going there. So if, for example, this shade of white has, this white is over a shade of really light yellow, really light blue, you want to keep it with a drop shadow. That brings out the visibility of your UI design. Alright, and we'll remove all blur. This looks pretty. We will change the font family to this Jua. This is a really nice font family. It has rounded edges. It works really well for description text, so it's nice if you want a single font family. And now that we have that figured out, we are going to place a button, call to action button for the users. We'll copy the text here, learn more, and place it inside of our frame. And now we're going to look at my favorite trick to making buttons. This is really cool and it works on frame auto layout. Auto layouts are actually a little esoteric in Figma. People don't hear about it a lot, people don't use them often enough, and that is something that makes me mad sometimes. Alright, so we'll just look at the most popular, the most best, in my opinion, technique to make buttons. We'll take this text, change its color, and frame it. So I'll right click it, click on frame selection, frame it, click on auto layout, and increase the padding directly. This reduces the headache of creating a rectangle, placing text in front of the rectangle, making it look nice. This reduces that completely. And I'll add a fill to it, make it black, change the font family to match the one from our title. We'll copy Paytone one and paste it inside of our button font. Outfit does look good for this button, but since the title and the button should have same fonts most of the time, you usually want to change it back. But this could have been a good choice. Outfit could have been a good choice. This also looks good now. We'll just increase the font size and this starts looking extremely pretty once again. Put it down at the bottom and take everything, group it and place it above. So we'll take everything, group it, shift it above. If you like what we're doing with this, make sure to click on the thumbs up button below. And I go live every single day at 8 p.m. on the dot for 100 days, for the 100 days of UI design challenge. This is day 3, so we have another 97 days to go. And with that, we have completed our text for this UI, and this is where parts really start to come together and things really start to look impressive. And this is where I like to call it a place where you can take your left half, go off with it, put it somewhere else and use it in a background, use it as a really nice graphic design art or in a UI design. And you can also take the right half and use it in a separate UI design on its own, but we're putting them in a single UI design, making them come together really, really well, and this looks good. Now, if you remember, in our description, we had a folder with different files, different images, and hopefully you downloaded that folder just so we could get these images working right. Inside of that folder is also a logo image, which we just positioned up here. It is completely white in color, so it's hard to search for when it gets lost in the Figma UI, but we'll just take it and place it right here, give it an effect of a drop shadow, make it look really nice, and add a blur to it. So when you add a blur, it just blurs the background in a really wide setting, and this looks good. Alright, now that we have this figured out, I am going to start I'll remove a little bit of the blur just so it looks good enough. Make sure to align everything. This is really important. Align things, guys. If you don't align things, things are all over the place. Things are wonky. We don't want wonky. We want aligned. And make things smaller. Once again, we'll make things smaller, place them up here. If you can't align the same edges of the image and of the other one, you can always align opposite edges like so and place it above, but always align. Never misalign. Always align. That's a rule. it's quite important to align stuff all the time. Make sure to align. All right. Now that we have this figured out, Bharat says, can we change the color of the logo? All right, we can do that. What color do you think we should change it to? I think black looks good, but feel free to comment. I think black looks good. I'm just going to change it to black. And yes, of course, Bharat, we're changing the color of the logo. And since this is an image, we're going to use a really cool trick to change the color of the logo. Go to the filters, choose one of the filters that we have here, usually exclusion. So this changes your color to be completely black. You can always play around with these filters and they basically reverse the colors that we have. So with that said, we have successfully changed the color of the logo. And now the logo looks good as well. Yay. Now that we've changed the color of this logo, it is finally, yes, exactly. Congratulations, you got it right. We are changing it to black. A really simple way to change white to black is just to go up top, go to the filters, choose exclusion. It usually reverses the color that you have. And since we had white, it is reversed to black. And now we have a black logo. All right, now that we do have this figured out, I'm going to copy it and duplicate this design. So this is when things get really interesting, because now we don't have to worry about the basic positioning, alignment of stuff and whatnot. Now we can basically change the stuff that we have as a template and things are going to work out really well. We'll take our second image, the image of a cockatoo, really nice looking, and place it inside of our frame. So for all of these images, they have their wings cut out, just so you know where to align them, up top and at the left. And now I'm going to lock this image and take out all of my other images from this group, delete it simply, nothing more. And now we'll start with the different alphabets for this one. Before we do that, we're going to change the color of the gradient once again. Since this is a white parrot, but it still has a yellow or orange color in its beak, in its head, we'll just change the gradient to match that. It should look good. We'll remove everything and add a fill here. We'll add a gradient, change the color once again, shift it, and go from, wow, this is okay, finally this is shifting, that's good. We'll change it to yellow because you want all of your light coming from this side. Change it to red. And inside we have a really vibrant, really beautiful looking orange that I am extremely proud of. All right. Also, this logo is starting to look blue for some reason. I think this is the exclusion filter. This is making everything look weird. Anyways, we can fix that. I hope we can fix that. I'm going to try to fix that now. Oh no. Actually, you know what? It fixed itself. This looks better, much better. All right. This, when you change your filters to match this, make saturation, temperature, tint and shadows to go to the maximum on the right side. Bring your highlights to the left side to its maximum. It should look good enough. And now we'll change our text. So we'll just get this out of the way before we get into the fun stuff. We'll take everything, copy, and paste it. So if you were, now this is a really important part, if you just took everything and pasted it just like that inside of a frame where you've already applied certain styles, for example, I've applied a font family, a color, a fill, a drop shadow, and if you take that exact same container, replace everything, you're going to be left with the same exact font styles. Meanwhile, if you just decided to delete it and then take another text frame and then type all of your data inside of it, then you would have to invest the same amount of time to basically give it the colors that we had. All right, Bharat says green looks good, so green does look good. We will continue with green. Thank you for that, Bharat. That's nice. And now we'll also change the color of our parrot. We'll change the name of the parrot to be cockatoo. The button stays more or less the same. We'll just keep it like that. And now we'll copy the name of the parrot and start doing the fun stuff. And by fun stuff, I mean we'll start giving it the text effect that we gave this parrot. All right, we'll take it, make its color white, change our font family to Outfit, my absolute favorite font. I've been using Outfit for an unhealthy amount of time. It's an obsession now. All right, we'll just change its size to be 256. 256 is a big size. I like a big font. We'll remove the drop shadow because we don't need it now, not anymore, at least, and make its width extra bold like we did the last time. Just so we have good visibility over here, I'm going to change the color of the page to a dark shade. And now that we have this figured out, I'm going to take all of the alphabets, take them apart. If you're liking the way we're going with things, make sure to smash that like button just so that this video reaches out to as many people as possible, because we want a lot of people joining us, so we'll have a lot more fun on stream. Also, click on subscribe. I come live every single day at 8 p.m. for 100 different days of UI design. This is day 3. We have another 97 days to go. We'll take it, paste it, copy our text, paste it once again, take our alphabets, place them apart, and delete this. We had 2 more O's remaining. We'll just take it, change it to O, take it again, change it to O, and now we have all of the different alphabets that we need for this UI. And now that I have these alphabets figured out, I'm going to start working on making things look pretty again. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my first alphabet like we did the last time, not change anything about it, place it as it is. I'm going to take the second O, copy it this time, paste it once again, remove its fill as we did the last time, increase its stroke to 6. Always make sure to place it to its outside setting, because inside you often get a lot of edges and stuff. But if you're using O, you can also go inside or center. Outside is although a good way to just keep on going with things, because it gives you the same width. All right, now we have an O with a outer highlight. We'll have another C alternating to be a complete solid C. I'm not going to change that. I'm going to take K, copy paste it, remove its fill, add a stroke, make the thickness to be 6, and change it to white. In fact, you know what? I think we can come up with a custom stroke style for this. So we'll just go to the 4 dots, click on this plus sign. Why did I not think of this earlier? I should have thought of this earlier. I should definitely have. And I'm going to give it a new name to this stroke style. I'm going to name it stroke style, and I'm going to create it. What this does is every single time you want to make a stroke filled font once again, it's just going to go here. You're going to choose stroke style, and you don't have to worry about choosing your color and choosing your inside, outside and stuff, whatnot. So you basically get a preset. Okay, now that we have that figured out, I'm going to take my T and do the same thing once again. You can, and I'm just taking random fonts over here and making them thick or thin. You can always choose to take the other O or make it stroke filled, take this T, make it solid. It is completely upon your judgment. And now that we have this figured out, I'm going to remove it because we have a solid O here. I'm going to remove all of the repeated extra alphabets that don't have a specific style. Take all of this and remove this. You know what, let's keep it. We'll just do a really cool text effect now. We'll take everything and export it to an SVG layer, because SVGs, as I mentioned before, scale infinitely. If you use PNGs, it's going to look really pixelated, really terrible at certain resolutions, that is. I'm going to take everything, export it once again, and we don't want these to get mixed with the Macau ones that we had, so we'll just make a new folder, say cockatoo, and save it. Now we'll remove all of this stuff. It's extra, useless now. Delete it, Control-Shift-K. This gets our images inside of our frame. Click on open. We'll just discard all because we have all of these now. And again, we are faced with the same issue where everything is sort of cropped. So these stroke filled ones are cropped. So you're just going to remove the clip content checkbox here. The clip content makes sure everything is cropped inside of a specific frame. If you remove that, everything will take up whatever space it needs to take up. And with that, we have our alphabets. So now we're going to start placing them in our frame. I'm going to take all of it. This is my favorite. This is my absolute favorite part. Just going to the prototype tab. Sorry, just going to the design tab, changing the color of the page back to what it used to be. F5, F5, F5. And I'm going to take all of my images, place them inside of the frame. This makes things look really, really pretty, really, really cool. And I'm going to start positioning them one more time. So I'm going to take C, place it above. So you want to start really high here because you have a lot of alphabets to get through, and sort of rotate them from the side. So in this version, we're going for quite a few advanced effects. Place it behind the bird one more time. Rotate it a lot. Really, this time you just want to go all out with it. And now we're going to do a really, really cool effect. Like, this blew my mind the first time I saw it. So I'm just going to go to Control-Shift-K once again. Get C, my first alphabet. Get it, place it, and you know what? Export it once again as a PNG this time. So although PNGs do have pixelation issues, we can use them when we are sure they're of the same size we want them to be, and do this next cool thing, which is extremely cool. I am really proud of this. We'll just import it. Oh no. Control-Shift-K, C, PNG, image, place all. This gives us our image, and now I'm going to crop this. So you are allowed to crop PNGs, but you can't crop SVGs. So I'm going to take it and crop it. Half of it is visible, half of it is not. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it in front of everything inside of our image. So what that does is, it gets in front of everything, including the parrot image. So the first C was behind the parrot image, so a part of the parrot wings was visible in front of it, but another part of this C, this cut C, is in front of the parrot image, so it's even higher up. So what that leads us to is the illusion of a single C, half of which looks like it's behind the parrot, but the other half looks like it's in front of the parrot. This is a really, really cool effect. All right, and now this C looks like it's behind the parrot, but at the same time it looks like it's in front of the parrot. This will start to look really, really cool. All right, and now we are going to take this O once again, place it, and I'm going to do another cool effect this time. Take our other O and take it back, send it behind everything, including the bird, So what that does is it makes half of the bird which is inside of this stroke visible, and the other half of the O is now filled up. So it gives a really cool optical illusion. Alright, make sure to like this stream if you're liking this, and subscribe. And I'm keeping these lives going every single day for 100 different days. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll continue. I'm just going to drag all of these extra alphabets out of the frame. Just take everything, put it out. And once again, we need another C, so we can just copy this exact effect. So once we have two different C's that we like, we're just going to take them, group them. Actually, we can't group them, because if we group them, then they'll have to be either both of them will have to be behind, or both of them will have to be in front of the bird. We can't group them. Do not group them. Copy and paste it, and do the same effect again with the bird's face. So once again, one of the C's is going behind the bird's face and the other one is going in front of the bird's face. So the end result looks like the C is behind while at the same time in front of the bird's face at the same time. This is what I'm talking about. This starts to look really cool now. So now, on the one hand, this C is emerging from behind the image, but it's ending in front of the image, so you're just really confused, and this looks like a really weird morphed effect, a really nice text effect in fact. And we're going to keep on doing this. Give me a minute. And we're back. We'll start with K. Once again, we're doing a lot of really cool effects here. Take this transparent K, copy paste, and again, if you haven't for some reason exported an image which already has a stroke, you can edit SVGs to add your strokes and fills later on as well. So I'm just going to put a stroke now, place it outside, never place a stroke inside, make it thicker, give it 6, remove all our drop shadows, and give it the stroke style we have. And now we can just place it in front of the bird. So half of it looks like it is behind, the background of it is the orange background that we have, and half of it looks like the background for that part of K is the bird itself. And we're going to repeat this same effect with A. I know this takes a little bit of time, but it's really, really worth it at the end. It looks really pretty at the end. So we'll just place the bird right here. Take this other A as well. Place it behind everything. Alright, if it looks like it's misfitting, you just expand it. This is again the good thing with SVGs, you can always expand them to take up whatever space you want them to take up. Alright, now I'm going to place one of these at the very back. And take the other one, bring it to the front of the image. I'm going to take this stroke A, put it in the front, take this A, send it to the back of everything. Then I'm going to drag it above. Just make sure to always make sure to be careful with what you're sending to the back and what you're bringing to the front. Again, this is just tricky at times, and once you get used to it, it is just really easy. Okay, now that we have this A done as well, I'm going to zoom out and take our next alphabet, which is T. Do the same thing with it, place it over here. Since it is a solid text, I'm going to send it to the back, but since now we don't see the T anymore, I'm going to take the stroke filled T, place it up here. Alright, and this starts looking good now. Alright, now that we have the T also done, I'm going to take the other two O's, remove these K's and these extra alphabets. Control-Shift-K gives us a new image. Take all of our O's, copy and paste them once again. Alright, I'm going to take this solid filled O, place it in front of the bird one more time. And one more time, I'm going to take this stroke O and place it behind the tail of the bird. I'm going to send it to the back. Alright. You know what? We can just send our other image also over here, but now we've just repeated this effect too many times, so you don't want to oversaturate the whole design with the same effect. What I mean by that is, I'm just going to place it outside, increase its stroke and remove its fill this time. So what this does is it gives the illusion that this image is both in front of and behind. This O is in front of and behind the image at the same time. So we'll just take it, drag it, make it bigger. Increase its width and height. And give it a really cool effect. One more time. Wow, this is just really starting to hang now. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to smash the like button, share it so that many people get access to this, and hopefully we can have a lot more people participating in the streams. And with that, our final O is also done. It does look a little bit wonky. Maybe I'll just adjust it a tiny bit more, or maybe I'll just remove it, take our original O, copy and paste it one more time, bring it to the front of the whole thing, and now it starts to look a little bit more the way we want it to. We'll just take it, put in a fill. Oh no, I just clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on. You know what, I'm just trying new things here, and this also looks good, so I'm not going to disturb it this time, because we have this half filled, half not filled text effect going on over here. So I'm just going to keep it running now. Let's just skip forward. You can play around with it, and it does look really nice at the end. We'll just take everything that we have now, group it, take our image as well, place it inside of the group. Make sure the image does not get dislocated. Control G is the shortcut to grouping your images. Make sure to group all of your images. Control G. If you like what we're doing in the stream, comment down below, and hopefully this video reaches a lot of people. Alright, we'll just drag it, position it to a place where we like. And now that I've found that place, I'm going to position it one last time. Finally, make our last green parrot image. This is the most fun image of this whole UI design. The second image is also done. We'll just take it, place it over here, and now duplicate our image, copy and paste it one more time. We'll take our parrot, place him right here, and remove our previous group. Now we'll go back to our text document, that is down in the description along with all of the other text that's there. Replace our text and make sure it has the same height always. About parrots, this is again the third time is the charm. This is going down really quickly now, and I'm going to take all of the alphabets for this one more time. Change our font family. I'm just speed running through this process at this point because we're really clear of what we're going to do now. And now that once you've made this design, the cool thing is you can always replicate this effect in whichever design you want. So we have a couple of flower nature related designs coming soon enough, and many of those use this effect of texts being in front of and behind images, having different strokes and opacities, and it always looks good. So this is a sure shot tutorial on a text effect that works all the time. This actually is a really good, this and the last stream we did, the last UI also, these are just really good effects for use in your UI design portfolios as well. So if you demonstrate these in your UI designs, that makes your portfolio stand out. So you can do that if you want to. We'll take out all of our texts and change them to white once again. And one more time, we are going to have a few of these be without strokes. We'll just copy and paste everything. Copy, paste. Bring it here, remove and add our strokes. Increase the stroke width to be 6. And finally, take all of our images, export them in our file explorer. We'll give this another new folder. We'll name it parrot and add all of our images inside of there. Now that this is done, I'm going to remove all of these images and bring all our images around this new parrot design. Before we do that, we are going to change the color of this gradient. We'll remove this fill, add another one. And if you like what we're doing here, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We recently completed 100 subscribers, which was also great news. In fact, I believe we're at a couple of numbers over 100 now, which is also nice. And we're going to change the gradient now. Make sure to give this video a like if you like what we're doing here. We go live every single day at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time or 2:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, depending on where you're at. And we bring one new design every single day to these UI design series, to this UI design 100 days of UI design series. If you figure out at some point that you're doing a gradient where the end result is looking really dark, take one color from the center, drag it all the way down to the bottom. So I want this to be just a little bit lighter, and I'm going to remove the last color. That is going to make sure all of my colors look really good. Since we were using the exclusion filter in this image, this is starting to look purple. You could change your exposure and contrast and saturation to be whatever you want, or use a different filter. Just go with normal here, add an effect, maybe a drop shadow, do something like that. But for this one, we're just going to go with our difference and exclusion filters. All right. And now that we have this done, we are going to go back to the most important part, Ctrl+Shift+K, importing images and making a parrot. You know what? Let's just skip this part this time. We'll just get whatever alphabet we need whenever we need it. So we'll just click on Ctrl+Shift+K, get P. Thank you, Bharat. That is really nice. We do have 100 subscribers now. 100 more people like us. It's nice to know that there are people who like UI design as much as me and you. We'll paste it. and place this behind the head of the parrot. Send it to the back. Send it to the back. Go back parrot. Control Shift K one more time. Bring forward the filled up A. Place. Oh no. I started singing too much. Anyways. I'm going to get both of our A's. Place all. Take the first A. Remove the... What happened to this? Oh no, we actually ended up exporting these images as PNGs, so we can't actually access anything. But the downside to PNG, as I said, is you can't really zoom it because it starts looking pixelated. But this time I'm just for the fun of it, because we're not zooming it a lot, I'm just going to take this same image and try to replicate the stroke. You know what, it's not happening. I'm just going to get another one. I'm going to get another A which has an SVG stroke. So if you use PNGs, you can't really scale them a lot and you can't do a lot of things with them. So I'm just going to get another A, remove the fill one more time, fill the stroke, give it a width of 6, go to my stroke style, export it as SVGs. Solid fills are okay, but you always want to have SVGs when you're using strokes. Place it here, delete the first image, delete the first text, Control Shift K, this brings back our SVG, place it once again, place all, remove it, remove the clip content from here, and this makes sure our content is not cropped anymore. Take out our filled up A, place it behind the back of the parrot, send it to the back. Make sure this is inside of the frame, because if it isn't, then you're going to be in for a world of trouble. Bring it, also places inside of the frame, place it up here in front of the parrot. This is our parrot image. We can remove the lock safely, and that's it. Now we are going to get our other two R's. These R's are solid filled. Also, since we didn't export these R's as SVGs, we need to do so. Just go up here, type R, remove the fill, increase the stroke, make the stroke width 6, export it as an SVG once again. Once you get the groove of it, this is just really relaxing. Control Shift K one more time, get R, place it, remove the clip content filter, and bring our parrot R, send it to the back, put it behind the parrot, bring this stroke, put it in front of the parrot. This now gives us a really cool effect. Like this is what I talk about when I say text filters, and this is the stuff that I'm really proud of. So now what this ends up looking like is, there is an R, but half of it has a background of white, which isn't present in the background, by the way, and half of it has a background of the parrot. So it's just a really cool UI effect. In fact, this is a highly usable effect in graphic design. So if you just are a graphic designer or want to go into graphic design at some point, these are techniques that you can always reuse in graphic design as well. I'm just going to place this R. It doesn't matter which R comes first in a parrot, so you can read it like this, you can read it like that. It's completely fine. And also we wanted O and T to be having strokes, so I'm just going to place an O and copy paste, get a T, remove our fills. I feel like this is the point where this starts to get just really close to the finish and the animation and the really cool parts that we came here, that we know and love. You know what, this time, since we don't need to reuse these, I'm just going to try to do our text effects with plain fonts this time. This should be fun. So I'm going to just place this right here and get our T, place it right here, and this time we're going to try an effect with the pen tool. So I haven't done this many times, but I'm just going to take it, make it exactly around the wing of the parrot. This is the reverse, the opposite of what we were doing up top, and just bring this here, simply lift up the pen. It's difficult to get started with the pen tool in the beginning, but once you do it a couple of times, the pen tool becomes a really good friend. We'll take it, put it here. Again, if you like what we're doing, we come live every single day at 8 p.m. and we're going to continue to do so for another 97 days, since this is a 100-day challenge and this is day 3. Yesterday's design was also spectacular, amazing, spectacular design. So if you want to check it out, you can after this video. It had a little bit of a voice echo issue in it, so I apologize for that, but the design in itself was spectacular. We'll change its color to be white. This starts to look a little bit better now immediately. So now that it's just starting to look weird, I'm going to get this tool, give this line a couple of curves. Oh no. Okay. So this looks good enough. This looks good enough for today. I'm just going to continue on with it. In fact, you know what? We can achieve this same effect with the PNGs that we had. So let's just use the PNGs. It might look a little bit better. So sometimes you don't know what is going to look perfect and you have to figure it out in the moment. That is a part of graphic design, in fact, because things look better when you experiment a little bit with them. This actually looks a lot better than our last one. So you can try the pen tool, but sometimes it's just wiser to not. Lesson learned. Okay. We'll just sort of change its width and height. Make sure it looks perfect. Change the rotation to be 0, bring it down one more time, drag it down, crop the image, rotate it a little bit more, send it up here, and we're done. Also, this last part is the one I loved so much. Just take it from here. This isn't a really complicated effect, so it should hopefully look good even with the pen tool. Take it up here. This starts to look good, and we'll add a fill. Okay, now that we are done with this, we are getting into the most, when I say the most, I mean the most exciting part of this whole adventure. We are going to make this animate. The best part, we're going to get the birds flying, we're going to get this whole thing running, and it's going to turn out really well. Okay, we have all of our frames ready. This is a moment of celebration and a moment of congratulations if you've made it this far. Thank you for watching. But now we are going to start with the really coolest part, which is animation. Go to the prototype tab, click on the flow starting point if you want to make sure to let Figma know that this is the flow starting point, but this is not really important right now. So you can just click on interactions, make sure it is set to on, click, choose the navigate to function, go to the second frame, choose the animation function of push, and make sure it has the first side. Make sure to animate matching layers. Make sure to give it a quick animation type of 600 milliseconds. In fact, we can increase it to be 700 milliseconds, and we can test this out now. So this is going to give us an initial idea of what we're working with. Then we'll just start adjusting things, give it the last minute details, and we'll be done. Okay, so something that's happening here is it's just flying in. The bird is not going anywhere separately. We want to fix that issue, and the way we're going to fix that issue is we're going to go to all of the images of our birds and we are going to rename them into the same thing. So the way Figma animation works is, if it finds that two images have the same name in two different frames, it considers them one single object, and it considers that these two images need to animate separately. So when we rename all of our bird images to be bird, it should start working a lot better. So we'll just cross it up here and make sure our animation starts working. While that is happening, I'm going to clear out the 4th T frame and test it out one more time. Okay, this starts to look a lot better instantly. I'm going to remove these groups because they are a little bit constricting for these animations to work. You probably don't want groups, I'm guessing. So I'll just go to the beginning. And now our birds and letters are animating separately, which is actually really, really nice. Cross this and click R to start. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is starting to look a lot like we intended it to. We'll go to the 2nd frame once again, and we're in the home stretch now. Go to the prototype tab, click on frame 2, give it the scroll interaction of on click. One more time, make sure to always connect your last frame with the first one. People forget it and then it becomes just really wonky. Then you just have to do the same thing over and over again, and that is a hassle. Alright, now we're going to look at the thing we've made together in its complete glory. This is what we've made today, ladies and gentlemen. The cutest, nicest little UI. Alright, before we leave, we have to fix a couple of things here. We just have to fix a couple of things. For example, this logo, for some reason, we'll go to the design tab once again, just fix our finishing touches, go to this logo, copy it, go to the other frame, paste it exactly where we placed it last time. Make sure to rename all of your files the same way. And now this logo doesn't have to animate as much. We'll just bring this, right click on the logo, bring it to the front of everything, right click on the logo one more time, bring it to the front of everything, and right click on the logo one last time, bring it to the front of everything once again. Alright, now that we have this figured out, the logo should start animating one more time in a really pretty fashion. Okay, and now that we have that figured out, I believe we just need to get one final thing done, and that is to make sure all of our alphabets, the ones that they have in common, be named the same way. So we'll just close it off and make sure this C is also renamed to vector. Make sure this is also... Bharat, we ungrouped all of these images. So in the beginning, we had just taken all of these and grouped them together. We ungrouped them for the purpose of prototyping, because when you ungroup images, it automatically, in this case at least, it becomes easier to prototype. And now that we have ungrouped all of our images, we're going to take this A and we're going to see that it is just the same with, it's the exact same A in this place as well. I'm going to copy the name of this frame, just copy it, and I'm going to paste it inside of this name. What that does is it makes Figma think that we have the same exact name and we have the same exact object. So they animate together one after the other really, really well. Okay. So you can just change around these text names, play around with them. They'll animate together really, really well. But before we do that final thing. We are just going to go to our texts here, change this about Macaws to be title, rename this part to be DESC description, and rename this part to be BTN button, and then we're going to repeat that one more time. So the reason we're doing that now is we're giving Figma the signal that we have renamed these elements to be the same. So now Figma thinks that these are the exact same elements, and when Figma thinks that they are the exact same elements, they animate much better together. They just work really well together. So we'll just again rename the titles to be TITLE, change the description to be DESC description, change the title to once again be TITLE, and the description one more time to be DESC description. Okay, this is now going to look much better when animating. So now we're just animating everything and only this title changes. Everything else is stagnant just because we renamed those frame layers into the exact same names all the time. So now this starts looking much better, and these alphabets also start animating really well together. And with that, I believe we are done with this UI design. Before we end this, I want to share this prototype with everyone watching. But before I do, comment down below if you think there's anything we need to improve, what your thoughts are, and then we can share this so that everyone has access to this design to be able to see it, kind of play around with it, have fun today. Okay, so I'm going to make a public deploy now, and I've had so much fun with this build today. Can I just say that? So we went over so many things today. We covered this super secret fancy font text. We covered these beautiful gradient backgrounds that are so rare to see now. And we covered this pretty looking UI design. You can just take this left part and use it separately somewhere. You can just add any random illustration image over here and it would look really well. You can take this right part, you can add it there as well, and that would also look really good. And we covered a lot of so many more features of Figma that we didn't even realize we learned. And if you enjoyed this, I come live every single day at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time or 2:30 p.m. GMT. If you've built along to this or you're planning on building along to this, please feel free to share it across social media with the hashtag 100 days of UI design with Veera and tag me. My social media is in the description. With that said, I want to thank you all so much for joining me and sticking around to the end. So I'm just going to share this now. This link is available for everyone to see. I'll get the embed code, paste it in the description for this video. You can check it out, have fun with it, and make sure to share what you make with me. Until next time, I will see you tomorrow for the 4th day of 100 days of UI design with Veera. Thank you for watching. I hate to go, but we'll have a better design tomorrow. Thank you.